I did a video a while back, about a year and a half ago I bet, where we looked at some different unique conifers and there was some dead growth on that, and I still haven't got around to it, so today's the day. This is a European weeping larch, and now I've never actually pruned a weeping larch like this. What's happening is we're getting all the top growth is alive and everything underneath is dying out. So I have to think that once these needles start coming out of dormancy, it's just shading that understory, and so those branches are just dying off. So it's going to be a little bit tricky getting in there, and so our time frame is getting short. We're about the first part of May here, and these are just coming out of dormancy. They've just got the nicest little needle-like leaf, and it's just a super soft foliage. I love the larch. There's a lot of people, when I used to sell trees at different jobs, they didn't care for the larch. They didn't want their evergreen to drop its needles, but I think the yellow fall color that you get with the larch is just outstanding, especially when you've got it mixed in with some of the other conifers. Now the larch group, there's a lot of different unique varieties where they've done grafting, whether it be the contorta, like this horseman's. I've got some different little globe larch that stay quite small and compact. This American larch, so this is going to be a large tree. This can push over 50 to 60 feet, and I've got the room here. And there's a couple other things. We're going to have to decide on this pruning project whether or not we're going to take some of these lower branches. What can happen with the weeping larch as they weep down, they actually can become a ground cover. But since I've got this icy blue juniper here, what's going to happen is the larch is actually going to shade that juniper foliage and kill it out. So unfortunately, I think we're also going to have to prune some of these lower weeping branches that are starting to arch out. And I've got a spruce. If you look back here, it looks to be a Colorado spruce, came up on its own from a seed, and we have to decide, okay, are we going to let that take off and go? And I really can't, because it's just going to overpower this weeping larch, because the Colorado spruce can get, well, if they can get 60 to 70 feet and 20 to 25 foot widths. So for now, I'm probably going to just keep this sheared, keep it kind of just a more compact, unique little conifer. I just hate digging trees out. I hate cutting them down for no reason. And it's going to be almost impossible to transplant that out of there with so many different juniper branches, but that's an option as well. What a hornet's nest of branches. I suspect we're accidentally going to cut a few that aren't completely dead. Wow. Whoop. Yeah, there you go. Just when you think you're not taking off too much, I took off a whole branch. We're going to have to be a little bit more careful. I wish I could get you a little bit better camera angle, but it's almost impossible. I think once we get in here and get a few of the main branches out, we'll have a little bit more room to see what's really going on in here. I'm going to try to shake it this time before I make that cut to make sure I don't take off any more live tissue. Let's see if we lucked out there and didn't take any live growth. Look at that. Yeah. Well, we're learning as we go here. Perhaps, I think that's our best bet. We're going to go ahead, we're going to lift up a branch like that, and then I think I'm just going to clear cut. I'm not going to worry too much about where I make the cut, at least not at first. I just want to get some of that dead out of there, and then we can go back in and see if we can make that cut a little bit further back to the main trunk. What's going to happen here by the time we're done? The weeping part, we're only going to have the weeping quite high once we get that understory done. So we're kind of starting over. I wish I had an honest answer for you whether or not this is normal for the weeping larch. In the comment section, you know, if somebody else has had experience with these, yeah, give us a heads up if this is just a normal thing for the weeping larch. As far as I know, this is a pretty good area. This thing has been healthy. Boy, I bet this has been in here for 10 to 12 years now. You know, a lot of times I get into projects and I wonder why I don't do them, why I put them off, and now I'm reminded. I have a feeling this was going to take a while. I think by the time this is all said and done, we're going to have over an hour into this. I guess that's not so bad. Well, good thing we got in there and did some pruning. For some reason, there was a piece of twine around the main trunk. Something like that. I was just getting ready to start girdling this plant. Not sure why that was there, but another 2 or 3 years, that could have killed the entire main trunk. Keep an eye out for that from nursery stock. If it ever has a stake on it or something that's helping support it, oftentimes they have ties that are supposed to degrade in the sun and fall off naturally, but sometimes they don't. I'll admit too, the other night when I was trying to figure out exactly what I was going to do here, I moved a branch sideways and it snapped. So I'm a little surprised how hard these are cutting, but at the same time there's almost a brittleness to it. I'm actually having a little bit easier time at this point when I'm just grabbing them. They're just snapping right off. Interesting. That's not textbook, but boy, it's sure speeding things up. Just snapping off like nothing. Okay, we're pretty close. You talk about a change of character, huh? Look at this thing. We've still got one lower branch there touching the ground. I haven't taken it off because my mind is kind of brainstorming here what we can do. Look at how much more thin that thing looks. I'm really liking it though. Look at how much brush we took out of that little weeping larch. It's a pretty good pile. Okay, so as I'm working on this, as I was finishing up taking off the dead growth, my head started spinning and I'm thinking, well, I don't really like how this branch is still there, but I'm hesitating taking it out. But what I am gonna do for sure, we're gonna go ahead and make these lower weeping branches for this year. We're just gonna prune them off at about the same height, give it a little bit of uniformity, and then they'll continue to grow. Okay, back to this little branch on the ground here. Doesn't fit at all, right? Looks like it's just way out of place and we should just take it off. But you know what? If we were to bring a boulder or a rock in here and let this thing start draping over a rock, now we've got something. Now we've got a purpose for that branch. And it looks like it was meant to be to get that rock there. So I think that's actually what I'm gonna do. We're gonna have to be really careful though. Remember when I was talking about how brittle that wood was? I hate to bend this too much. The rock I have in mind, man, it's a big one. It's about 12 to 18 inches. It's kind of a gray trap boulder. Another project, it's just what I need. I think we gotta do it. All right, you guessed it. Yeah, we're gonna give this rock a shot. Holy buckets. Okay. Now the reason this rock ended up here is I had a little arborvitae seedling came up here, similar to that spruce back there, and I just couldn't bring myself to take it out, but it started getting too big next to these other conifers, and you can see what's happened. It's just killed off that area, so I thought I'd cover it up with the rock. Didn't like how that looked, so let's go see if this is gonna work for our larch. Here's the part where we're going to be really careful. We don't want to snap that branch. Okay, let's put the finishing touches on this and see what you guys think of this. Forgot to mention, look at all the years of needles. That's just a really valuable mulch for this tree. I like leaving that. I think we accomplished our goal here. I think it fits in there quite a bit better. Leaving that, see how the boulder kind of gives it purpose, like it was meant to be there. I think leaving that lower branch with that boulder there, I think it actually kind of fits. Now let me know what you think in the comments though. I'll look at this over the next days and weeks and we'll see if we actually like what we've got here. But for now, I'm kind of liking it. Either way, fun project. I hope you enjoyed this garden hike. We'll see you again next video.